You folks know I'm not a person of few words, but if I were a person of few words, a one-sentence statement to you today would read something like this. It's folks like you that are so essential to the principles of good government. I thank you very much for your introduction. Today, as you know, or you wouldn't be here, is about whistleblowers. There's a lot of debate about what whistleblowers are and what they are not. I believe whistleblowers are patriots and they are heroes.
Yes.
Heroes for the American taxpayer. And a lot of them get that title without maybe even knowing the word whistleblower before they do something for good government. They don't ignore the law, and they don't set out to make a lot of money or to become famous. The vast majority are never known publicly. They're just ordinary people like you in this room and thousands that aren't in the room that just want the government to do what the government is supposed to do under our laws and Constitution and spend money according to that document and Congress's intent. But they see something that is wrong and they want to fix it. Nobody's perfect. People and organizations make mistakes. They waste money and even break the law. When you see that kind of fraud, waste, and abuse, unlawful activity, you have a choice. You can go along to get along, or you can speak up. The whistleblowers are the ones who speak up. For that, oftentimes, they're treated by their corporation or by their bureaucracy like skunks at a picnic. Whistleblowers, as you know, are harassed, fired, blacklisted, and probably a lot of other adjectives you could put in there. They end up with their careers, their relationships, and health can all suffer as a result of just doing their job, just doing what's right. To my great distress, their retaliators often go unpunished. This creates an environment then of fear that discourages employees from raising these issues and bringing attention to these problems. A law enforcement officer told me recently that his agency's recruits say that they're more afraid of crossing managers than they are dying in the line of duty. That kind of fear-based culture is not only unacceptable, it is very short-sighted by people who ought to always want government to do what the law requires and the Constitution requires. So whistleblowers are the ones who tell what's broken so we can fix it. Thanks largely to whistleblowers, the government has recovered more than $53 billion in taxpayers' money lost to fraud just under one act that whistleblowers can act under, the False Claims Act. That will get you to the moon and back 72 times. Thanks to the Security and Exchange Commission and the Internal Revenue Service whistleblowers, we've recovered more than $580 million lost to corporate fraud and $3.4 billion lost to tax cheats. Thanks to the FBI whistleblowers like Fred Whitehurst and Jane Turner, we learned about shoddy work by the FBI Crime Lab and agents' theft of souvenirs from the tragedy of the World Trade Center, 9/11. Thanks to Department of Homeland Security whistleblowers, we know that faulty immigration policies and poor data collection have allowed vulnerable migrants, children, to be placed in the homes of sponsors with criminal records. Thanks to the VA whistleblowers, we learned that thousands of veterans in my home state of Iowa have been waiting anywhere from 90 days to 1 to 2 years just to see a doctor. Thanks to the Marshal Service employees, more than 2,000 deputy U.S. Marshals should be spared from wearing expired body armor by Christmas. We also learned that as the agency works to finally replace that armor, it refuses to tell deputies that its own 2013 study showed that expired gear has a 13% failure rate. Whistleblowers have exposed waste, fraud, and abuse in just about every industry and agencies in this country. The issues they report can involve millions and even billions of taxpayers' dollars. They can also literally be matters of life or death. So, we owe a great deal of debt to you, people here and people that aren't here, that we refer to as whistleblowers. We have a responsibility to follow your example and keep fighting for responsible business and accountable government. Congress needs to reauthorize the Office of Special Counsel and the Ombudsman program at the offices of all the inspectors general. We need to improve whistleblower protection for FBI employees and IRS employees. Congress has also has to do its constitutional duty to conduct robust oversight of the executive branch. And for what oversight I do, I can tell you 90% of the things we follow up on come from whistleblowers. So you know that you help me do my constitutional job. That includes oversight of matters whistleblowers report and how agencies treat the whistleblowers. Many agency policies, like corporate compliance programs, are great on paper, but in fact are lousy in practice. For example, agencies often use misconduct investigations to actually as a tool to retaliate against whistleblowers. I am asking the Government Accountability Office to review practices for investigating employees' misconduct in 2 law enforcement components under my committee's jurisdiction. The other 2 branches need to do their part as well. The Supreme Court will review the Security and Exchange Commission whistleblower program next term. The court should follow Congress's intent to protect the whistleblowers who report wrongdoing either to their management or to the Security and Exchange Commission. Whistleblowers know the best place to take their information is within the bounds of the law. The executive branch aggressively pursues waste, fraud, and abuse in the private sector, and it should continue to do so in a robust efforts. It should work even harder to apply the same high standards to its own conduct. Employers need to build a culture of integrity where employees are not afraid to raise concerns. Finally, we have to publicly recognize the contributions of whistleblowers, and so that's why I thank the people that have put this program together. But I suggest going beyond that, and it happens that I have suggested to every president since Ronald Reagan, including this new president, that they ought to have a Rose Garden ceremony honoring whistleblowers. Yeah. So that they know from the top of our management of the federal government to the lower levels in the bureaucracy that whistleblowing is something that we need to respect and pay attention to. Now, no one of them has taken me up on my call to honor these truth tellers, but I'm going to continue that request, even if it never happens. My colleagues have taken up some of this effort because this year's Whistleblower Appreciation Day resolution is sponsored by the entire Senate Whistleblower Protection Caucus, as well as the ranking member of my committee of Judiciary, Senator Feinstein. As it has in the last 5 years, I expect this resolution to pass unanimously. Whistleblowers, whether your efforts are publicly known or safely anonymous, we are grateful to you, and it's absolutely necessary to have good government. Thank you very much.